One drive has moving parts, the other doesn't, and that one difference changes everything. Speed, reliability, price, and whether your data survives being dropped on a hardwood floor. You've probably heard get an SSD, they're faster. But do you actually know why? Or which SSD? Because here's the thing, not all SSDs are the same, and neither are HDDs. There are multiple types of each, and picking the wrong one could slow your PC down or drain your budget for no reason. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which drive to use, when, and why. But first, I need to show you something that surprised even people who work in IT. There's one situation where an HDD still beats an SSD, and most tech content never tells you this. Stick around. Let's start at the foundation. An HDD, hard disk drive, is a mechanical storage device. Inside that metal casing is a spinning magnetic platter, a motor to spin it, and a tiny read/write head that physically moves across the surface to find your data. Think of it like a record player. Your music, your data, is etched into the disk, and a needle has to physically travel to the right spot to play it. An SSD, solid-state drive, works completely differently. No spinning, no moving parts. It stores data on NAND flash memory chips, the same technology in your phone, your USB stick, your camera card. Your computer asks for a file, electrons move through the chips, and the data comes back instantly. The core idea you need to hold on to. HDDs are mechanical. SSDs are electronic. Everything else, speed, reliability, price, lifespan, flows from that one difference. So SSDs are clearly faster. But here's the catch. There's more than one kind of SSD, and they are not equal. You've got SATA SSDs. They use the same connector as old HDDs. Easy to swap in, affordable. Top out around 550 megabytes per second, still miles ahead of any spinning hard drive. This is the entry-level SSD you'll find in most laptops. Then you've got NVMe SSDs. NVMe stands for Non-Volatile Memory Express, a protocol designed specifically for flash storage. These connect directly to your motherboard via PCIe lanes, bypassing the bottleneck of the SATA interface entirely. Speed? We're talking 3,500 megabytes per second on PCIe Gen 3, up to 7,000 on Gen 4. That's not a small upgrade. That's a different category. On the HDD side, the split is simpler. 3.5-inch desktop drives and 2.5-inch laptop drives. The big difference is RPM, rotations per minute. A 5,400 RPM drive is slower. A 7,200 RPM drive is faster. More RPM means the platter spins faster, so the redhead reaches your data sooner. Western Digital and Seagate have dominated the HDD market for decades. Meanwhile, Samsung's 870 EVO and 990 Pro are among the most trusted SSDs available right now, backed by reliability data from cloud providers who test these things at massive scale. Knowing the types is one thing, but here's the part. Most videos skip how they actually feel when you use them. Everyone quotes sequential read speeds. 550 megabytes per second, 7,000 megabytes per second. But that's like measuring a car's top speed on a racetrack, then driving it through central London. In real life, your computer isn't reading one giant file in a straight line. It's jumping around, loading the OS, opening tabs, pulling up apps. What matters there is latency, the delay between requesting data and getting it back. HDDs have high latency. The read head physically has to move to the right spot on the platter. That takes milliseconds. Doesn't sound like much, but multiply that across thousands of random reads per minute, and your system feels sluggish. You know that feeling when a PC is slow to open apps even though it has enough RAM. That's usually an HDD bottleneck. SSDs have near zero latency, no movement, no waiting. Booting from an SSD versus an HDD is the most obvious example. We're talking 10 seconds versus 45 seconds on otherwise identical machines. Research from Crucial found that users switching from HDD to SSD reported an average 50% improvement in overall system responsiveness. Durability is another place the mechanical versus electronic split really shows up. HDDs have moving parts. Drop one from desk height, and you can permanently damage the read/write head or scratch the platter. Data gone. SSDs have no moving parts. Shock resistant. That's why every modern laptop, phone, and tablet runs on flash storage. Remember, mechanical versus electronic. That's why SSDs survive drops, and HDDs don't. That's why SSDs boot faster. Everything traces back to that one difference. But if SSDs are so much better, why does anyone still use HDDs? That's where price comes in, and it's a bigger deal than most people admit. Here's the catch no one likes to talk about. SSDs are still more expensive per gigabyte than HDDs, not slightly, significantly. You can buy a 4 terabyte HDD for around 60 to 70 pounds. A 4 terabyte NVMe SSD, you're looking at 250 to 300 or more. That's a 4 times price difference for the same storage amount. For your operating system, software, and games, always SSD. The speed benefit is massive, and you only need 500 gigabytes to a terabyte for most setups. But for archiving family photos, raw video footage, backups, bulk data, HDDs still make complete financial sense. A video editor storing 20 terabytes of raw footage on SSDs would spend thousands more for zero practical benefit. That data isn't being accessed 60 times per second. It's just sitting there. There's also a compatibility angle worth knowing. Both HDDs and SSDs come in the 2.5-inch form factor and can use the same SATA interface. Upgrading an old laptop from HDD to SSD is often as simple as unscrewing 4 bolts and swapping drives. No new motherboard, no specialist, just a screwdriver and 15 minutes. Now, remember that twist I teased at the start? Here it is. There is one area where HDDs are genuinely superior to SSDs, and it's something most people never think about until it's too late. Data recovery. When an HDD fails, the data is usually still physically on the platter. Recovery specialists can open the drive in a clean room, replace the damaged head or motor, and retrieve your files. It's expensive, often hundreds to over 1,000 pounds, but it's possible. There are entire industries built around this. When an SSD fails, particularly a controller failure, the data is stored across hundreds of memory cells in a fragmented, encrypted, and remapped structure. There's no platter to physically read. Recovery attempts require chip-level forensics, and success is not guaranteed. It's harder, more expensive, and less likely to work. This is why mission-critical backup strategies at the enterprise level, data centers, hospitals, law firms, often still include HDDs as part of the archive layer. Not because they're faster, because when things go wrong, you want every recovery option available. HDDs are mechanical, SSDs are electronic. Mechanical things break in ways you can physically repair. Electronic things fail in ways that are harder to reverse. Know that before you make your choice. Here's the simple version for your main drive, running your OS and most used software. Get an NVMe SSD. If the budget is tight, a SATA SSD still beats any HDD by a wide margin. You will feel the difference the moment you boot up. For mass storage, large files, media archives, backups, HDDs are still the smartest value play. Get a 4 terabyte HDD for bulk, pair it with a 1 terabyte SSD for performance, and you've built a setup that balances speed and cost better than going all SSD or all HDD ever could. And whatever you use, back it up. Neither drive type is permanent. SSDs can fail without warning. HDDs can fail with a single knock. The only safe data is data stored in 2 places. If this helped, hit like. It genuinely helps the channel. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this. No fluff, just the stuff that actually matters. And drop a comment below. Are you running an HDD, an SSD, or both? Tell me your current setup. I read every single one.